Welcome back to another episode of the Fifth Quarter Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, the Bluff City Cowboy, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee. And we are closing out our NFL draft coverage this week. As you guys know, the NFL draft took place last week, and we did a full breakdown of all of the draft picks. So this week, we're going to close things out, and we're going to talk about all of the undrafted rookie free agents. So got a breakdown for all 10 undrafted free agents. I'm going to give you my thoughts on each guy, and I have them listed in order of who I think is the least likely to make the team all the way up to the most likely. So we got a lot to cover tonight. Hope you guys are locked in and ready to talk some undrafted free agents. But before we get started, for those of you who just logged in, looks like right now we got YouTube and X. So thank you guys for joining. I'm pretty sure the Facebook viewers will start to come in any minute now. But for those of you who are watching, I appreciate you joining us. Glad that you enjoy the content that we put out and that you continue to come back every week. For those of you that are watching on X, if you get a chance, make sure you go over to Facebook sometime. Go find the DC4L Facebook group. Hit that like button. Join that group. It's a heavily regulated group with a lot of admin. So we provide all of our guests a safe space to talk Cowboys talk, do debates, learn something new. There are prizes, there are giveaways. It's just an overall safe space for all Cowboys fans. I see a few of our people are starting to lock in from the DC4L Facebook group. So thank you guys for joining us. And for those of you who are joining from that Facebook group, DC4L also has a YouTube channel. So when you get a chance at some point after the show, go over to YouTube, type in DC4L, hit that subscribe button. And also while you're there, go find me at Bluff City Cowboys. I definitely appreciate all of your support in helping me on my path to 1,000 subscribers. Looks like I'm missing one. All right, so like I said before, tonight's topic is undrafted rookie free agents. So we're going to go through all of them. I have them listed in order of who I think is most likely to make the team, all the way down to the least likely. I'm just getting my order together right now, so just give me 1 second. Looks like I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, give me guys 1 second. And while we do that, get in the comments. Let me know who you are, how long you've been a Cowboys fan, who's your favorite player. If you have any questions about any of the draft picks or any of the undrafted guys, feel free to get in the comments and ask those questions again. And as always, this is an interactive show. We are fueled by Fifth Quarter Nation. So be sure to bring it in the comments like you guys always do. Let me know your thoughts on everything we're talking about. I see we got Jeff in the comments. Jeffrey Dunnigan, long time viewer, one of my close friends. By the way, happy birthday, Jeff. Appreciate you taking some time on your birthday to lock in with us at the Fifth Quarter Podcast. So definitely appreciate you tuning in. Hope you enjoyed your birthday so far. I see we got the co-creator of the DC4L network in the chat right now, Miss Amanda Foster. Amanda, thank you for joining us as well. If you get a chance, Amanda, make sure you pin this to the top or the DC4L Facebook group so that more people will see it. But thank you for joining also. All right, so make sure all you guys follow their lead. Get in the comments. Let me know who you are, how long you've been a Cowboys fan. Anything you guys want to talk about tonight before we get into it. I see we got Jack Meeker joining us. Jack, appreciate you joining us as well. Another longtime follower. Question the answers. I can't remember who that is. but I know you've been a regular, so thank you for joining us as well. Appreciate that. I got to load up one more person and then we'll get this thing rolling. Give me 1 second. All right, looks like I'm missing one of mine. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Like I said before, tonight's topic, undrafted free agents. I'm going to go through all of the undrafted free agents in order of who I think is least likely to make the team, all the way up until who I think is most likely. I'm pretty sure if you guys have been following on social media and you've been keeping up with the draft, you already have a pretty good idea of who I have number one on my list because he's pretty much number one on everybody's list. But for some of these other guys that you may not be familiar with, hopefully you will learn something from what I talk about tonight and have something to pay attention to as we go into training camp and OTAs. One more time, I see we got quite a few people watching right now. Let's get those likes to match those views. So if you haven't done so already, hit that like button to help increase our engagement. And once again, this is an interactive show. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Jack Mika says he's been looking forward to the show because you do a more detailed look on the undrafted free agents. I definitely appreciate that. As you guys know, I'm a football nerd, so I really enjoy all of this stuff. So I try to take some of the guesswork out of it for you guys. I try to give you as much of an unbiased opinion as possible because I don't want to just sit up here and give my thoughts and make you think that my thoughts are the spoken word. So these are my thoughts, but if you want to go back and watch some of the games, you can definitely see some of this stuff yourself. I'm adding one more guy to my list, so just give me 1 second while I update this. Thank you, Amanda, for sharing that. Definitely appreciate that. All right, so I'm finished with this. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. We'll go through all 11 of our undrafted rookie free agents. So, like I said before, we're going to go from who I think is most likely to make the team all the way. We're going to go to who's least likely to make the team all the way to who I feel is most likely to make the team. So, looking at all the undrafted free agents, I think DJ Rogers, tight end, probably has the least likely chance to make this team. And when I look at players, I normally try to watch at least 2 full games. Now, I know some people may say that's a lot of games to watch. How do you find time to do it? So what I normally do is I go on YouTube and for like a big team, like a SEC team, Big 12 team, something like that, you can just type in like I can type in TCU offense and on YouTube it'll give me a cut up of all the TCU games, just the offense against certain teams. So I'll try to go and find a game that was a close game, or if that guy was a defensive end, I'll try to find a game where the offensive tackle is really good and the overall team is talented. So that's kind of my thought process. So with this one, to be honest, I really don't think he has a chance to make this team. So normally I'll watch 2 games for DJ Rogers. I only watched 2, and I chose North Carolina and Arizona State. I will give him some positives. He's a pretty good route runner. He has really good hands, and he's an above average blocker for a tight end. Um, the things I don't like are he's not fast. He looks like he runs a 4.9, I think his combine was about a 4.9. Um, he does not look athletic when he runs. It almost looks like he's stuck in the mud. Um, his stats were not good in college. To be honest, I don't know why they brought him in. Maybe they think he's a good special teamer. I don't think he has any shot of making this team. And to be honest, with the tight ends that we have on this roster, plus the tight end that we added, I don't see how he touches the field in a preseason game. If a person becomes available through um post June 1 cut or through a trade, DJ Rogers is probably going to be the first person that gets cut from the team. I can guarantee you that. I'm getting there, Jeff. I got to go through my list. So yeah, DJ Rogers. I think he had zero shot of making this team. Now, the next guy I'm going to put up here is probably going to be surprising to a lot of people because his interview kind of went viral around Cowboys Nation, and people really like the person. I like the person also, and this is Shy Pete, the first Native American born player in the NFL right now. He's 6'8", 300 pounds. If you look at him, he looks like everything that you would want in a tight end in terms of physical traits, just looking at him. But when you watch him play, um, he's definitely strong. He has strong hands. He's a solid run blocker. The problem is he has no athleticism. Like when you watch him play, he's a natural waist bender, which means it could be because of his height, it could be because of his knees, but he bends at the waist. And when you're that big and tall and you bend at the waist, you have a tendency to lose leverage. And guys just fly right by him because he has um feet in the mud feet. Any situations where he won battles in college, it was 100% because he was stronger than the guy in front of him and he was bigger than the guy in front of him. If it was even close to even in terms of athleticism, he got dominated. Um, so like I said, I watched 2 games. I watched Auburn and I watched Texas. As you guys know, Auburn has Kevin Falk, who was a late first, early second round pick, and then Texas is just loaded with talent. They had a field day with him. Um, Now in the run game, he was solid in the Auburn game because he was just bigger and stronger than everybody else, and he could just get his hands on them and lean on them. When it came to pass pro, it was bad. Um, so talking about some of his strengths, I just talked about great lower body, good hands, good grip strength, but his lateral quickness leaves a lot to be desired. He has a tendency to get overextended in pass sets, like I just talked about. He's a waist bender, so when you bend at the waist, you have a tendency to lean forward, and when you lean forward, people can take advantage of it. Um, his technique is really raw. When you watch him play, you can tell that he's 6'8", but he was one of those guys who had a late growth spurt because he does not look comfortable in his body moving at that size. Let's see. Jeff says if he makes the team, we have a bigger tight end problem. I agree. I see we got Mendoza in the comments. Mendoza, appreciate you joining us. Jeff talks about they talking about Schoonmaker when I brought up tight end, so that's kind of that comment. So back to Pete. Humble guy, smart guy. You can listen to how he talks and tell he's a really smart guy. But in terms of athleticism, he might be 6'8", but in the league, when you're 6'8" and unathletic, that's going to be a major weakness instead of a strength. If he was 6'8" with good feet and good lateral quickness, we might be able to do something with him. When I watch him play, I just don't see it. Well, he's a Native American, Jeff, so he's a Native American Indian, so he won't be an international exemption. So he's like a Navajo Indian. We do have a international exemption. He wasn't an undrafted rookie. He was just a guy who was undrafted. I can't even think of his name right now. No, a Native American doesn't count, unfortunately. I don't think he makes the practice squad. Um, it's gonna be a really good story. I just don't see how he can make the team with his lack of athleticism. All right, so let's keep going. It gets tougher as I go on. We picked up a lot of defensive tackles in undrafted free agency, and I like all three of them. The problem is, I think we probably only keep one. I think we're keeping one for sure, but the other two are good. But I have to go with the best one of the group. So next guy I don't think makes the team. Defensive tackle from Kansas, DJ Withers. Ernie Rincon Jr. I hope he earns the star, Ernie. I'm not rooting against him. All I'm doing is telling you what I see. And I see a big, unathletic tackle who's not comfortable in his own body. Maybe they can keep him around on the practice squad. He can kind of get his strength up and get into his body a little bit more. But he has a very, very long road ahead of him to make this roster. All right, so DJ Withers. Now, by the way, I like this kid. If he were the only defensive tackle we picked up in undrafted free agency, I would say he has a really good shot. He's a big kid, 6'4", about 310, but he has a really explosive first step. He's a natural run stopper. He plays with a high motor. Um, you can kind of see he's inconsistent. He's kind of a guy that runs hot and cold. I don't know if he can crank that up when he gets to the NFL level, but in the 2 games I saw, you can definitely see, he'll crank it up and then he'll just disappear for like a quarter and a half. That could come from the fact that he doesn't have a lot of experience as a full-time starter, and because he's not used to being a starter, he doesn't have his consistent he doesn't have his consistency yet, where, like, if you're a starter, um, I'm gonna go 80% on first downs, or on third down, I'm gonna crank it up. For him, he's going to play very hard to cold. He doesn't have any pass rush moves for a D tackle. He's just a pure explode off the ball, win with the first step, and try to get in the backfield type DT. Again, he controls the line of scrimmage when he's hot, but he's not hot a lot. I like the kid, but I like the other D tackles a little bit better. Got Chris Woods joining us. Chris Woods, appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate your support. Jack Meek, you ask a good question. Like I said before, I'm going from the least likely to make the roster to the most likely. So I think that kind of answers your question, but you will see as we move on in the show. All right, so we're pretty much at the halfway point on these undrafted guys. So I'm making really good time. We're at 20 minutes right now. If anybody has any questions about any of these guys, please let me know. All right, let's keep going through the list. Um, Next up is the wide receiver Camden Brown. Now, Camden Brown is he's an interesting player. I probably could have swapped these receivers. Camden Brown played 3 years at Auburn, and then he at Auburn, I think he had 5 catches in 3 years. So he was basically just buried on the roster. He transfers down to Georgia Southern, which is a D3 school, and he just explodes. I mean, every week he probably had 100 yards. And Georgia Southern played a lot of good teams. They were the team that a lot of these Division One teams will call up and be kind of their tune up, build your confidence game. So he played against decent competition. When he did get on the field, I mean, he has good hands. He's a solid route runner. Um, if he gets his hands on the ball because of his explosiveness, he has a chance to make some big plays because he's really good maneuvering himself through traffic. Um, the only problems I see, and I think these are the problems that he had at Auburn, he does not handle press coverage well. Um, you could tell he doesn't have a lot of strength when you kind of get in his chest. And the lack of production at Auburn is concerning. Like when I watch him at Georgia Southern, he's consistently getting open. And they're playing good teams. But when he was at Auburn, he was an afterthought. So that kind of concerns me about him. He could turn it on, but the fact that he couldn't compete at the SEC level tells me that he doesn't have a chance of competing at the NFL level. So I got him at the bottom of my list. Okay, next up is another one of my defensive tackles, Kelvin Gilliam. Again, another guy that I like as an undrafted guy. If he were the only undrafted guy, I would say he had a solid chance to make the team. He's 6'3", 285, 290. I'm sorry, he's 290, 295. So he has enough size, long arms, plays with explosiveness. He's really good at leverage. He's another one of those high energy, high motor guys as well. Um, he's the type of guy, he pushes the line of scrimmage with his effort. But when I look at him play, whenever he gets double teamed, it's an ugly sight. He's more of a one gap defensive tackle. Putting him at the 5 tech or the 4 eye on this team, he might be able to survive, but I just have concerns about his ability to take on double teams. He's another one of those guys who didn't have a lot of experience as a starter. So he started off his first 2 years at Oklahoma, and then he transferred over to Virginia Tech. His 2 years at Oklahoma, he was not a starter. Last year at Virginia Tech, he started all 12 games. Again, when I see a guy who is at a big time program like Oklahoma and you're not able to start, and then you quote unquote go down in competition, and then you're starting, that gives me concern that maybe you won't be ready for the big time of the NFL. So again, while I like the player, he's a little bit undersized, but he plays with a lot of explosiveness. And because of his lack of strength, he just has problems with double teams. I think this is the type of guy, the reason I kind of have him in the middle of the pack, I think if you need a special team guy on your defensive line, if nobody else can just outright beat him out, I think he can be your special teams guy. Because if you look at our defensive line right now, all of our D tackles are big guys. So I don't see a lot of guys who can be a blocker on kick return or be a consistent rusher on punt team. I think Kelvin Gilliam can. So if we need a guy that's a little bit undersized, along with like a LT Overton, I could possibly see him making a team on special teams. But if it was just straight defense, I don't see it. All right, so I see those views are still going up once again. Let's hit that like button. Let's get those likes to match these views. And for those of you who are watching from YouTube and on Facebook, please get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about anything I'm talking about. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the players I've discussed. So far, Jeff and Jack, I've been bringing the comments and the questions. Let's follow their lead and get back into it. All right, so let's keep this thing going. We're at the halfway point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So we had 11 guys. We're at player number 6. So this is the guy who I think has the sixth most likely chance. So it's kind of middle of the pack in terms of undrafted free agents. And this is our other wide receiver, Jordan Hudson. Played for SMU. He's a guy that I like when I watch him play. Again, they played a lot of big time schools. He had a monster game against Miami. He had a really good game against Boston College. He's another guy kind of like what I talked about with Cameron Brown. They had a lot of big time teams on their schedule, and he played really well in all those games. And also, he did pretty good in the Senior Bowl as well when he was kind of going best against the best. So that's one of the reasons I have him kind of high on my roster. He's an explosive guy, great playmaking ability. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. You can see he's the type of wide receiver that attacks the ball. So I really like that about him. But again, there's a reason why I don't have him very high on my undrafted list. I don't think he beats out the guy we drafted in the 7th round. I think he has a hard road ahead of him to beat out anybody that's currently on our practice squad. And that's because he's another guy who didn't start a lot of games. His route running is solid, but it's more because of his quickness than the ability to run effective routes. He's quicker than fast, so he's not the type of guy. I won't say anything bad about ACC, Jack Meeker, but he didn't have a lot of experience as a starter, and his stats were pretty much below average for all 3 years. I mean, he was basically a 500 receiving yard, 5 touchdown guy. And if you're the number 1 receiver for a team, I would expect you to have a little bit better statistics. But the 3 games he played against top schools, I mean, he really balled out. So I like him as a receiver. Um, I think his lack of top end speed is gonna hurt him in training camp, but the way he attacks the ball in the air and his strong hands, I think if he's on the 3rd team with a decent quarterback, he's gonna make a couple of plays that are gonna make people's heads turn and say, "We need to get another look at this guy." I think that's gonna be a saving grace. I don't see special teams guy from him. Um, I don't see breakaway speed guy from him. If he makes this team, it's gonna have to be off of highlight catches, and he has that ability to do so. So this is the guy I'm really gonna be paying attention to because he's gonna have to go and use what he showed in college with that chip on his shoulder to show that he belongs in the NFL. All right, so now we are down to our top 5 guys who I think have the best chance to make this team. Now, when I look at all 5 of these guys, they all play at what I would consider a position of need. They all play at a position where I think the bottom of the roster could be churned, where they could find a place for themselves. And all these guys are extremely talented. I'm honestly shocked that all 5 of them did not get drafted. That's how good I think they are, especially the top 2. The top 2, I'm really surprised did not get drafted. But we'll go ahead and get into that now. Once again, we're at 30 minutes. So thank you guys who are joining us. Get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about anything I'm talking about. For those of you watching on X, if you want to go over to YouTube and get in the comments, feel free to do so as well. While we dive back in, top 5 undrafted free agents that we picked up. Number 5, Jack Meeker asked a question earlier in the show. Do I think that DJ Willer's teammate is a better player than him? The answer is yes. Another guy, 6'3", 305. He's built to play the 4I. I love this kid as a player. I'm shocked he wasn't a 6th, 7th round draft pick. The first thing that steps off, super explosive first step. Like this kid, he reminds me of Malik Collins. I know the fan base didn't like him, but Malik Collins' first step was really good, and he was able to blow off the line. His problem was he didn't play the run very well. He was just a designated pass rusher at D tackle. But this kid reminds me so much of a Malik Collins, who, by the way, was drafted, I believe, in the 3rd or 4th round. He plays strong at the point of attack. He already understands hand placement. He has an ability to collapse the pocket. He's another one of those guys who moved the line of scrimmage whenever he came off the snap. He has a couple of counter moves for a defensive tackle. He has a pretty good swim move, a pretty good rip move. He plays with high motor, high effort. I really like this kid. I know we drafted LT Overton in the 4th round, but if we get down to the bottom of the roster, if they have a serious like competition and the best man wins, I wouldn't be shocked if Tommy Gunn makes LT Overton expendable. That's how much I really like him. I haven't followed Jay Tuck this offseason, but yeah, if Jay Tuck sees it, yeah, he sees the same thing I see. I'm shocked this kid was not drafted. But yeah, they're picking up a lot of 300 plus quick step. Yeah, that's what you see on tape on all these guys, Jeff. And Tommy Dunn is a legit 305, and he plays nasty. He's going to be one of those guys that Cowboys fans are going to really like when they start to see him in the preseason. Now he does have a couple of weaknesses. He's another guy that is kind of a one gap guy, but he does play a little bit better. I can see him being a better gap and a half guy, but he does have a problem with double teams. He played a lot of nose tackle in Kansas. I think he's good enough that he could play some nose for us, but I think he's probably going to be more of a 4I. And at a 4I, I really like his explosiveness. He does have some problems with pad level. He kind of explodes up. So when he comes off the line, he kind of stands up and just goes through a guy's chest. You can't do that at the NFL level, but that's an easy thing to coach out of him. He's another guy who doesn't have a lot of starting experience. That's a recurring theme when it comes to these COVID kids. They just keep transferring around, chasing that paycheck, and don't have a chance to land at a spot where they can kind of settle in and get 15 or 20 or 30 games under their belt. But in terms of raw traits, I really like Tommy Dunn. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him playing with that 3rd unit. Jack Meeker said our linebackers are not going to be accosted all year. I would agree with that. This is a great year to be a Cowboys linebacker because these defensive tackles are all bringing it. I really like Tommy Dunn, though. I think we got a steal in this one. And bringing up linebackers, great segue, Jack Meeker. Langston Patterson, linebacker from Vanderbilt. Now, I'll talk about the weaknesses first. This is why he was undrafted. He gets tunnel vision where he focuses too much on the backfield, and because of that, sometimes those offensive linemen can kind of get in his chest. Um, he's not very explosive, but again, I think a lot of that comes from tunnel vision because he kind of just sits and shuffles a lot trying to see the play, and it gets him in trouble. I think that's why he was undrafted. I don't think he timed very well either. But he's a Vanderbilt kid. If you guys follow college football, you know what you get from a Vanderbilt linebacker. You get a linebacker that's super smart, good football IQ. You're gonna get a linebacker that tackles very well, and you're gonna get a physical tackle. Now, the reason I have him so high is number one, going back to what Jack Meeker said. I think this year our linebackers are going to get the best looks that we've seen from linebackers in probably 5 years. Because from our first unit to our third unit, we're going to have a lot of big, explosive defensive tackles in front of them. So our linebackers should stay relatively clean. The other reason I think he makes the team is because, and we talked about this quite a bit in this offseason, we don't have a lot of Mike linebackers. This kid is a pure Mike. When he gets into the classroom and he gets on the field, if he's with the third unit, he's going to be the Mike and call the plays and direct traffic. Now he may get caught because of the athleticism, but the processing and the ability to get people in position is going to really help him on this team because I don't think we have a lot of linebackers once you go past our top three who have the ability to be true Mike linebackers. So I think he's going to get out there, and because our coaching staff has emphasized that they want smart guys, he's going to be the smartest guy in the room, or at minimum top four. So I think because of that, he's going to get a real opportunity to be our fifth or sixth linebacker. And he doesn't mind hitting people, so he's going to make some noise on special teams as well. He's the type of guy that I wouldn't be surprised if he plays all six special teams in training camp. Um, and if you come in as a rookie and you're a smart kid and you play all six special teams, I know you guys hate me going off on my special teams rants, but special teams matters. And if you're a young guy and you can play special teams, they're going to find a spot for you because their special teams coach gets 3 to 4 players that he gets to keep on the roster regardless of what the coaches say, and I think he has a chance to be one of them. So, just pay attention to this kid. He's gonna make some mistakes on the field. You're gonna see some guards get in his chest and probably drive him back, but just pay attention to how he directs traffic and pay attention to how he diagnoses stuff in space. He's gonna make some plays, and if he plays all 6 special teams, he's a lock. There's no question. Uh, Jack Meeker asked the question, "Is winners the Mike as we are right now?" I talked about this throughout the draft, before the draft. Um, CP brought in his own safeties. His safeties know his scheme. His safeties know what they want. They drafted what everybody has said is one of the smartest safeties in the draft since Ed Reed, and they're already kind of overloading him. I think a lot of the mental green dot stuff is going to be placed on our safeties. Because of that, I don't think that you need what people consider a true Mike linebacker. With that being said, I would say winners is probably the closest thing we have to a Mike right now, but I don't think that means nobody else can play the Mike because I don't think the Mike linebacker in our scheme has to be the green dot guy who calls the protections and calls out any of the gap reads and stuff like that. I think that's gonna fall on our safeties. But if I were looking at the team right now, I would say the potential green dots would be, of course, D Winters, Shamar James, and Overshown. Everybody else I just think is just run and hit linebackers. And I don't have a problem with that. I think people, uh, while I'm on my rant, let me go ahead and say it again because I know people don't like to hear it. I really think people are underestimating Shamar James. Again, fifth round rookie, wasn't expected to do anything last year, ended up leading our team in tackles with 91 tackles. Coming out of college, he was known as an alpha at Florida. He was known as the green dot guy in Florida. He was the guy who was putting everybody in place on the field. We didn't get to see that translate last year because, again, he was a fifth round rookie, and they put a lot of stock in, um, I can't even think of their names now, Kenneth Murray and the guy from Chicago. And I don't think he got the opportunities to really kind of process the scheme like he should have. I think this year he gets a shot. He's in year 2. I think he's gonna come in stronger. He's gonna come in faster. I think we're gonna see more of Florida Shamar James, and I feel like he's gonna be on the field quite a bit this year. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he progresses. All right, let's get back into it with our top 3. Now, the number 3 guy is Dominique Richardson, running back from Tulsa. I'll start off with the weaknesses. This is why he was undrafted. He does not have breakaway speed. He is a high 4.5 runner. He's not good in open space. Um, Again, another guy who doesn't have a lot of experience being like a bell cow. But when you watch him play, he is one of the most violent runners in college football last year. He runs over people. He runs through people. He does not know how to avoid a tackle. He's really good at following his blocks. He's really good at pass protection already. He has really good vision. If they're pulling, he knows how to ride the guard's butt and then explode up the field and run through the linebacker's chest. He's the type of guy, he's going to give you a lot of 4 or 5 yard runs. He'll never give you a 20-yard run. Now, I know a lot of fans don't like to hear that because they like to hear about speed guys, but the way this scheme is made, you want guys who are going to punish the defense, and then those 5-yard runs can turn into 40-yard runs because they're afraid to tackle him. Just like Jeff just said, Javonte Williams. This is the type of back Javonte Williams is. Now, Richardson is a slightly less athletic of Javonte Williams, but in terms of how he plays exactly like Javonte Williams. And just like Javonte Williams, he has really good hands out of the backfield. He's not the most explosive, but if you want to run that swing route or you want to run him out of the backfield on a bubble screen or a flare route, he can run those routes and he can catch the ball well. Now, he's not going to do a lot with it, but he can definitely get you 3 to 4 yards at a time in your passing game. But I like his vision, I like his patience, and I like the physicality he brings. I know we got Blue. I know people like Blue because of the speed. But when you see this kid play, and if you guys like Mafa, you're really gonna like Dominique Richardson because he runs physical and he does not mind meeting a linebacker in the hole. Didn't play a lot of top level competition, but the games he played in, he had a couple of good ones out there. Let's see. He had that really good game against Oregon State. For the most part, he was kind of a 60 to 70 yard a game guy. He had at least 2 catches in every game he played in, so that's definitely a plus. Um, I'm looking at his stats. His longest run of the year was 30 yards. That was his only run of more than 20 yards. All of his other longest runs in every game were anywhere from 6 to 12 yards. Again, that's why he didn't get drafted. You're not gonna get an explosive running back out of this guy. But if you want a guy, if it's 3rd and 3 and you need 3 yards, he might be the second running back you put out there behind Javonte Williams. Just like Jack Meeker said, if Javonte Williams is out there with some power runs and you need another back to keep that same type of energy, same type of momentum, same type of pace, this is the next guy off the field. I mean, next guy off the bench. Um, I think he's going to give Malik Davis a run, and I like Malik Davis. But this scheme, if this scheme is built off of power and physicality like they told us it was, this kid should have a really good shot to make this roster. And he's also one of those guys who will try to play all 6 special teams if he can. As we know, Blue doesn't play special teams. We don't know if Phil Maffa plays special teams because he's been hurt. Malik Davis does play special teams, but you need at least 2 running backs on your team to play special teams. And if he plays all 6 and the other guys don't play any, somebody's going to be in some trouble, especially if you're talking about your 3rd or 4th running back. So I really like this kid. I think he has a really good shot to make this roster. All right, so we'll go to my number 2 undrafted free agent who I think has a really good chance to make the roster. And this is DJ Wingfield, offensive lineman from Purdue. I'll be honest. This is the type of kid who probably should have been drafted in the 4th or 5th round. He has extremely powerful hands. He's the type of guy that he's a shock. I like to call him shock and pop. So he's going to strike you with his hands and he's going to shock a defensive lineman and he's going to pop him. He plays with a really good base. Like even if you look at this shot right here, you see he's bent at the knees. He's a good knee bender. He looks like he's in an explosive stance right there. Extremely good run blocker. He plays tough and physical. He reminds me of kind of like Nate Thomas, the guy that's on the roster now. He can play a little bit of tackle, but you really want to put him in there at guard. He has really good feet. Not good enough for tackle, but very good if you put him at guard. He's a 5-year senior out of college. He's one of those guys who comes in and he's going to be a leader of your offensive group. So he's going to come in. He's going to be one of those lead by example guys. He's probably going to come in and probably start calling shots over some guys who've been there 2 or 3 years. He has a very nasty demeanor, and I love that about him. He has long arms, great first punch, like I said. When he's hot, it's almost impossible to get around him. And he's hot more than he is cold. Very reliable guy. Of course, we go to some of his weaknesses. He has strong hands, but he can also improve his hand placement. Again, That's something the coaches can coach out of him. He does overset and pass sets sometimes, but that was at tackle. At guard, he's everything you want. And the last weakness, lateral quickness. Again, that's at tackle. You put him at guard, he's more than athletic. The reason he didn't get drafted is because um, he was a fifth year senior. No, Stephen White, he's not a center, he's a guard. He played tackle in college, but I think he transitions better as a guard in the NFL. They may try him at tackle, but I think guard is his best position. This is one of those guys where I could see being your swing guard. Like, I think he's good enough to where if you wanna just play Bass as your backup center, if something happens to one of our guards, I can see him being the next guy off the bench. He's that talented. He was a fifth-year senior, so the reason he didn't get drafted is because he got this big NIL deal from USC, so he didn't enter the draft last year. So in his mind, USC just paid me a half a mil. I'm gonna go play for USC in 2025. At the last minute, the NCAA pulled the rug out from under him and told him he was ineligible. So now the draft passed and the supplementary draft passed, and the football season's about to start, and he can't play college football anymore. So because of that, he had to sit out the entire year. And of course, as you guys know, once you're out of sight in the NFL, you're out of mind. So a kid who, if he came out last year, probably would have been drafted fourth or fifth round, because he sat out, he was an undrafted free agent. So now he's not only going to come in with that same toughness and nastiness that he had, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder because he just lost $500,000 from USC and he had to sit out a year and not get drafted. So he's going to come in there and he's going to want to take somebody's spot. And I feel like the way he plays and the strength and power he already has, he's going to have a chance to do that. He's probably going to come in. He's probably older than Tyler Guyton. He's probably older than Nathan Thomas. I think he's 25, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yep, he's 25 years old as a rookie. Now, for a defensive end, that bothers me. For an offensive lineman, not so much. So he's coming in at 25. He's already got a lot of his grown man strength. He already plays nasty. He comes in as a smart guy. I don't know if you guys heard the story on him, but Dallas had already filled out their undrafted free agent list. And during rookie minicamp, he came in for a tryout. He impressed them so much that they cut a guy that they had just signed. So when they saw him, they were like, wow, we got to get this guy on the roster. I really like this kid. And he fits everything we look for from what they told us in the offensive alignment. Long arms, strong, physical, heavy-handed, nasty attitude. I'm already putting him as one of my fight candidates. One of my preseason training camp fight candidates. Him and Barham. If Barham tries to rush him on that second or third unit, this is gonna be the guy that kicks off that fight. So I really like him as a player. I think we got a pretty good guy who should have been drafted that didn't because of circumstances outside of his control. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. Yeah, Russell Dye. Keep an eye on him, especially if they play him at guard. Hopefully they don't put him at tackle. I hope they don't put him at tackle. If they put him at guard, I think he's gonna show us something. Yeah. Had a year to heal up from playing every game for years. That can be a blessing or a curse though, because again, you come in a little bit rusty. But like I said, He hadn't played football in a year. He came in one mini camp, by the way, with no pads on. He impressed them so much that they cut a guy they just signed. So that lets you know he may have missed a year, but he still has it. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, everybody's kind of seeing who we got last. So the guy who I think is most likely to make this team off our undrafted free agent list is tight end Michael Trigg. Um, Another guy, I'm shocked he wasn't drafted. I can understand why he wasn't drafted, but I'm shocked that he wasn't drafted when you watch him play. We signed Slammy just to start fights at camp, maybe. You never know. So Michael Trigg, uh, let's talk about why he was undrafted. Um, as you guys know, I went to Ole Miss. I grew up 30 minutes from the campus. I still follow the program extremely close. Have a few friends who still are kind of around the area that I can kind of hit up and ask questions about what happened. From what I heard, Jack Meeker, people say maturity, but let's call it immaturity. The problem was he is a product of the NIL environment. So if you're a top athlete, if one school offers you $500,000 and then the next school offers you $1,000,000, you're gonna leave and follow $1,000,000. Now, in the process of him doing that, he did have a tendency to kind of shut down on the team where if and this is from what I heard at Ole Miss, for example. I can't speak on the places he was at before. I can only speak at Ole Miss. So from what I heard, he transferred into Ole Miss. He had a relationship with Jackson Dart. So he was coming there expecting to kind of be Jackson Dart's number one target. But if you guys recall, Ole Miss has had a couple of players who've been drafted pretty high at the receiver position. So he wasn't the featured guy like he anticipated. And then you add to that the following year, Jackson Dart gets drafted, and now he doesn't have his guy who he expects to get the ball from. So he's kind of a malcontent in practice. He wants to be featured in the offense as the number one guy, and they didn't. And from what I heard, he kind of shut down on the team, to be honest, and was kind of half-assing their practice, kind of unattentive in meetings, and eventually they just told him to stop coming, and he stopped coming and transferred to Baylor. And Baylor gave him a chance to be a featured guy, and he went out there and balled out last year. So when you watch him play, 7-foot wingspan. I want you guys to think about that. He's 6'4". His wingspan is 7 feet. The longest wingspan in the draft this year. Longer than offensive tackles. He's the type of guy who can scratch his knees standing straight up. Has really good hands. Really good football IQ. He's a solid route runner. He knows how to take advantage of being guarded by a linebacker with his speed or with his quick feet. He knows how to take advantage of being guarded by a nickel or safety with his size. The problem, I just gave you one problem about why he went undrafted because of immaturity or what I call just chasing the bag. NIL is a new system that we're not used to. So all these kids don't know how to handle going from being an 18-year-old high school student to getting offered $500,000 one year, $1,000,000 another year, 1.2 another year. I can't handle that. I can handle that now, and I'm 40. So I don't blame him that much for that because now he's a pro where he's gonna get the paycheck that he deserves based off his play, and it's not as easy for him to move around. So I don't hold that against him. Um, the other problem that I see why he didn't get drafted, he does not like to play in the 3-point stance. He likes to play as a big slot, and I can't blame him because he's really good at it. I would have to see how he looks as an inline blocker. In college, he didn't look very good at it. He was more of a up back where he was in a 2-point stance behind the tackle. He was more of a up back than he was a tight end on the line of scrimmage. And as you guys know, even though the NFL is a passing game, they still overemphasize tight ends' ability to block. So if they let him play like he did in college, where he was kind of off the ball, or he was kind of a big slot, and he takes advantage of mismatches, I think he's going to be really, really good. And I'm assuming that the coaches watch the same tape that we all watched, and they have that plan in place for him. That's why I have him number one. If somebody comes out and says, you know what, all of our tight ends get in the 3-point stands and they get at the end of the tackles and they're blocking defensive ends, he's not making this team. I'm sorry to say it. If that's what they do and they expect him to be Brevin Spanford, he's not making this team. But if they allow him to showcase himself as a pass catching tight end and they give him some opportunities, y'all keep saying it in the comments. I can't disagree. Schoonmaker's got to have a really, really good offseason, or he may become expendable. Yeah, but I agree, Mendoza. You got to showcase Schoon a little bit to either give him a chance to earn that spot or or to generate some buzz to get traded. And I agree with you right here, Jeff. We got tight ends who can block. Span forward blocks like a tackle. Ferg is a really good blocker. We don't have a guy who can line up as a big slot and take advantage of mismatches. Let him do it. Russell Dyer, they did give him 200,000. Typically, the guy who gets the big guaranteed contract normally has a guaranteed roster spot. That's the other reason I have him number one. It was the same instance for Brevin Spanford last year. It was the same thing with Zion Childress last year, even though he did get cut at some point and brought back. When you get paid that money, they normally have a spot carved out for you. So I'm making total assumptions that they're going to let him line up as some big slot and see what he can do. I'm really excited about seeing that because we haven't had anybody do any big slot stuff consistently since Blake Jarwin. Yeah. Now I know because of the Baylor and the undrafted and the big slot type stuff, you're gonna hear a lot of Rico Gathers. Um, you're gonna hear a lot of Rico Gathers comparisons in training camp because everybody thought Rico Gathers would be that type of guy, and we never saw it manifest. This is a different type of tight end. Rico was more of a jump ball type guy. This guy actually has real wide receiver route running capabilities, and he also has really good hands. He's another type of guy who attacks the football. Yeah, I agree, Mendoza. Trigg is way more talented, but you're going to hear people see Baylor and undrafted tight end, and they're going to start to say Rico Gathers. That's not what you're getting right here. You're getting a tight end who, if you give him the chance and you line him up a little bit off the line, you're going to see some stuff. You're going to see some You're gonna see some really good catches. You're gonna see some solid route running. You're not gonna see a lot of good blocking. I hate to tell you if anybody expects that. I don't know if he plays. I don't know if he's gonna be a special teams guy either. I don't think he plays special teams in college. Now that I'm thinking about the game. So he's gonna have to hang his hat on just pass catching ability. And again, they paid him, they gave him a shot. I'm assuming they're gonna give him that chance to prove he's an NFL pass catching tight end. And they modify the scheme a little bit to showcase that. If they don't, it's gonna be a tough path for him. But I'm holding out hope that they give him that opportunity. Yeah, Jeff, you point out Martellus Bennett. That's another really good option. Blake Jarwin was a little bit after him, but yeah, he's kind of in that mode. But he has more natural wide receiver skills even than Martellus Bennett, who I loved as well. The only thing I say about that, Jack Meeker, he's not lining up in the 3-point stance. That's gonna be his killer. He's gonna be if they put him at the end of the line of scrimmage, he's gonna get a quarterback hurt, and that's gonna be a big problem for him and us. So we have to hope that you're gonna see a lot of 7-on-7 drills where it's just playing on air, and he's gonna be all over Twitter. So we just got to see what happens when the pads come out. But I really like him. I really like Wingfield. I think Richardson has a shot just because of his running style, and I like the linebacker because I think I like the linebacker from Vanderbilt because I think he's going to be with your third unit and he's going to be a big time processor for you. Now, Jack Meeker, unfortunately, uh, yeah, yeah, Lunda Wells really going to like him, I think. But again, we got to see what happens when it comes to blocking. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much all I have for this week's show. I've taken you through all 11 of our undrafted rookie free agents. I just go through them again really quick. I'm not gonna give you a lot of narrative about them. Just gonna show you guys all 11 for those of you who came in late. So I went in order from least likely to most likely. DJ Rogers, I think he has zero shot. No college production. Does not look athletic when he plays. I don't know why they brought him in, honestly. I think that was a wasted undrafted pick. Uh, Shy Ass Pete. I like the player. I think the slow feet are gonna get him. He may make the practice squad because of the raw traits, but I think because he's a waist bender and the feet are slow, they're gonna give him problems when they start running that wide 9 defense where the defensive end is all the way out and they get a full running start. They're gonna expose him in camp. DJ Withers, one of 3 defensive tackles. If he was the only one, I think he'd have a shot. I like the other 2 defensive tackles more than him. That's the only reason I have him so low. Camden Brown played for a big time school, did nothing, dropped down to a lower level and exploded. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle the bright lights. He couldn't handle it at Auburn. I don't think he's going to be able to handle it in an NFL training camp. Kelvin Gilliam, Virginia Tech, another player I like, doesn't have a lot of starting experience. That's concerning to me. He played first at Alabama. I mean, not Alabama, Oklahoma. Did basically nothing. Didn't even start. Went to Virginia Tech. Started for the last 12 games. Another one of those guys like Camden Brown. Are the lights too bright for him? You take the competition down. He looks good. at the highest level he can't compete. I think that shows in practice. Jordan Hudson, he's kind of in the middle, not very explosive, but he plays tough and he plays competitive. And if he has a chance to make some attack the ball catches, which I think he can, he has a shot of making this roster. But if it's solely off of speed and explosiveness and route running, I don't think he has a chance. Then we go to our top five. Tommy Dunn, really like him. Shocked he wasn't drafted. LT Overton, you better watch yourself because this kid is going to come in. He plays very similar to LT Overton, except he's 20 pounds heavier. So he has a really good shot of being one of those guys who can play all across the line of scrimmage, and he already has the size. And I think that the strength is good enough to not just get dominated moving up from college to the NFL. Langston Patterson, smart, tough, high football IQ. I think he's going to play all six special teams, and that's what's going to get him at the bottom of the roster. On top of that, we don't have a lot of true green dot Mike guys. I think once you get down to your third linebacker unit, he's going to be the guy. And I think being the guy on the third unit is going to be good enough for him to get that sixth linebacker spot if we keep six. Dominique Richardson, not fast, but he plays tough and physical with a lot of patience. He's like a less athletic version of Javonte Williams. And I think that's going to help him have a chance to carve out a spot. I think he's going to be another one of those guys who can play all six special teams. Blue didn't play any special teams last year. We don't know what Maffa is. And I think he is a better fit for the offense than Malik Davis. So I think he's going to be right there in the mix to be your third running back. I don't know who's going to be the second, but I think he has a really good shot of being your third. If they keep four, I think he's definitely going to be your fourth running back. You just have to hope he doesn't do too much in training camp and preseason to get some eyes on him. He may be one of those guys we don't see a lot of, and they try to sneak him on the practice squad. But I just think the way he runs, he's going to stand out like Maffa did last year. DJ Wingfield, he has starting quality guard play right now from what I saw in 2024. He's a year removed from football because of the situation with the NIL, but everything you want in a guard, he has it. We just got to see how he looks when the pads come on because I know from what I saw on the tape in 2024, it's there. Let's just see if he keeps it. If it was 2024, he would have probably been drafted fifth round. He took a chance to try to get the bag at USC instead of going to college. Instead of going to the NFL. It ended up costing him a season because the NCAA screwed him. So I think he comes in with a chip on his shoulder. I think he has a really good chance of being one of our backup guards. He has a good chance to be our 10th offensive lineman, playing left or right guard. Maybe give you a little bit of tackle, but I think he's a better guard. And then Michael Trigg, we talked about that in full detail. One of the better route running wide receivers in NFL. In college football. Yeah, he's definitely one of those mystery injury candidates, Jeff. To be honest, I don't know. I think he's good enough that you just want to have him on the roster. So I would watch a Johnny Cornelius as one of those mystery injury guys. Because I think this kid is really good at guard. The only guy we have right now at guard, I think, is TJ Bass, but you can easily just lock him in as the backup center. And think I think Wingfield has a chance to be the backup guard in preseason. We'll see. Russell Dyer says you think he could play right tackle. I think he could, but I think you want him at guard more. I think he can be a really good guard. I think if you put him at tackle, then you're not using him to the best of his ability. I talked about this last week. If if Drew Shelton, the tackle we drafted from Penn State, if he worked on his strength like they say he did, he has a chance to come in and seriously compete to be the starting left tackle. I like his feet that much. His only problem in college was strength. And if he worked on that, he can come in and be not a top tier left tackle, but he can definitely be as good as Tyler Guyton. And then you move Guyton to right tackle, and then you let Steele be kind of a Steele Guyton be kind of a swing tackle. And then this kid will be more of your swing guard. So Jeff says, I was talking about the running back. I mean, they did it with Maffa last year, so I could see that being an option. I would probably say, whew, I'll be honest. I think Richardson is a better prospect than Maffa was last year, and Maffa was a fifth round pick. Now Maffa has a little bit more speed, but I think in terms of like running behind the blockers and exploding and getting 5, 6 yards a pop, I think Richardson's better at that. Maffa's a big target too. Maffa's like 6'4". That could hurt him. Richardson's kind of a compact, low to the ground type guy. And again, he runs like Javonte Williams. And I think that's gonna kind of stand out. He's 6 foot, he's 210, he's built like just one big muscle. And I would probably watch him and Maffa, or him and Maffa both make the roster, and then Blue is the mysterious injury guy, just so you can keep him around because of the speed and the potential. All right, great questions to close out the show. Thank you guys for that. Russell Dyer, thank you for joining us at the end of the show. Mendoza, thank you for joining as well. I appreciate you, Jack Meeker, Jeff, for bringing in the comments as usual. Stephen White, thank you for coming in as well, joining us. Definitely appreciate you popping your head in for a few minutes in the fifth quarter podcast. Patty Barber, looks like I missed you from earlier in the show, but Patty, thank you for joining us. Looks like a new name. Hopefully we can get you back to join us again in the future. Ernie Rincon Jr., you made a comment earlier in the show and dipped out. Hope you come back and join us as well. Chris Woods, appreciate you with your comments also. Looks like another name, Mike McAdams. I missed your comment earlier. Looks like you're U.S. Navy, so thank you for your service. Appreciate you joining us. Hope you come back as well. Once again, happy birthday to my guy, Jeff. Appreciate you spending your birthday evening talking some Cowboys football. That's a diehard Cowboys fan for you right there. Night of his birthday, gave us an hour, brought some great comments. Appreciate you, Jeff. Happy birthday to you. For those of you who are watching for the first time, I also thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, in the future, you guys will get in the comments, join in on the conversation. Let us know your thoughts on any topics we have, or ask any questions you may have. And be sure to join us every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Standard Time for the Fifth Quarter Podcast. We are about to hit the third wave of free agency. The first wave of free agency is that first week where everybody with all the money is starting to do all the spending. And then the second wave of free agency is when that first wave starts to slow down and then it comes to a halt a week before the draft. Now we're about to hit the third wave of free agency. And the third wave of free agency is where teams have drafted their guys, they've signed all their undrafteds, they've had their rookie mini camps, they have a chance to have a decent look at what they have. And now they're going to look at their roster and say, we have a, and I use this because this works for us. We have a linebacker, backup linebacker, making $3 million, or we have a starting linebacker making $7 million. Jordan Brooks. Um, we drafted three linebackers at that same position: Jacob Rodriguez and Kyle Lewis. Drafted two linebackers. We didn't expect to get both of them. We have two rookies who play the same position as a guy making $7 million. We were dumb enough not to trade him before the draft. Now, because of our current roster development, we can't keep him. And now nobody's going to give us what we want for him. We have to designate him a June 1 cut. I'm just using Jordan Brooks as an example because I think that's what happens. Either it's a post June 1 cut or it's a cheap trade. But there's going to be a lot of that around the league. So next week, I'm going to be doing an updated top 5 positions of need after the draft. And then I'm going to give you guys a name to watch. Either that's a current free agent or a guy on another team's roster who I think will be a cut trade candidate that could come in and possibly fill that spot for us. So be sure to lock in with us next week. We'll be talking top 5 positions of need after the draft and the veterans who can come in and fill those spots. So we got a great show for you guys next week. Before we go, Jeff has one more question for us. Any thoughts on Adoree Jackson being brought in? So, as you guys may be aware, this week the Cowboys brought in cornerback Adoree Jackson for what they called a tryout. Adoree Jackson was a former first-round pick of the Titans. He played for the Philadelphia Eagles for 2 years under our current defensive coordinator, Christian Parker. He got cut last year, and now he's going to try out here. My thoughts on that, Adoree Jackson's a veteran. Adoree Jackson is a smart corner. Adoree Jackson can play inside or outside. I say all that to say I don't think he's coming on this roster. I don't think he's going to make this team. I think him and Christian Parker were probably friends, and this is just a favor. Nobody else is giving you a shot. We're going to get the ball rolling. We're going to bring you in for a tryout just to get your name back in the atmosphere so that maybe some other teams can take a look at you. So now you bring a guy like this in, you do your walkthrough. Now you can make a couple of phone calls and say, I don't know, the Colts. The Colts are trying to get rid of their cornerback. Maybe the Colts need another corner. Adoree Jackson's agent say, "Hey, call Christian Parker. He just did a tryout in Dallas." You call Christian Parker. Now Christian Parker say, "I just saw him. He looks like he's in good shape. He looks like he's moving well. We don't have a spot for him. Maybe you should want to give him a chance." Or maybe a team like the Jets. The Jets need corners. So I think that's what happened, Jeff. I don't think they did this as a sign of we have a shortage and we need somebody to fill the spot. I really feel like this was just I'm calling in a favor. My market's dried up. I need somebody to come in and give me a spark to get my name back out there. And I think Christian Parker just did him a solid. And the reason I say this is because What reason would you have to bring in a veteran during rookie training camp week for a walkthrough? You could have done that next week during mandatory OTAs when all the players are there. Why are you bringing him there when it's nothing but rookies? Like 2 days after the draft. Why 2 days after the draft? I think that's a sign of we're just trying to help you spark some interest as teams go into the third wave of free agency. You say, could it be that Bland isn't going to be ready? We got a ton of corners. I don't know why people are so down on our cornerback, but if you just look at the nickel position alone, Caleb Downs is probably going to play a lot of nickel. We still got Kobe Durant, who can play outside or inside. We have Darion Kendrick, who can play outside or inside. We have Kalen Carson, who can play outside or inside. And we have Reddy Stewart, who is a pure nickel. And we have Zion Childress, who's a pure nickel. So we have a lot of nickel candidates. There's no reason to bring in a Dory Jackson when you have all of those options. And again, why bring them in 2 days after the draft during rookie minicamp? If you were serious about that, you would have brought them in next week after you had a chance to analyze your rookies. This was really, to me, just I'm gonna come in and shake hands with Christian Park. I'm gonna run a little bit and help generate some buzz. I wouldn't read into it more than that. You see, you haven't heard anything else about it other than he made a visit to Dallas. That further lets me know he just called in a favor. So I would be shocked if Adoree Jackson signs with Dallas. I think more than likely he ends up getting signed somewhere else next week. All right, so great question, Jeff. Great question to close out the show. Once again, next week we'll be talking about the top 5 positions of need post draft. Give you a bit of a spoiler alert. I don't think it's going to change much. The only difference will be some of the guys I think may be available or be options. Jordan Brooks. So be sure to join us next week at 8:30 Central Standard Time for the Fifth Quarter Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Appreciate all you guys who joined us tonight. Thank you guys for taking an hour and a half to hear me talk about undrafted free agents. It's not a lot of topic. It's not a topic that a lot of people like to talk about. It takes a real diehard Cowboys fan to want to talk undrafted free agents. So shouts out to you guys for your dedication to the team. And once again, thank you guys for choosing me to give you that information about these undrafted free agents. Hopefully, I will see you guys next week. And as always, let's go, Cowboys. You guys have a good night.